Yes, as I finished with the first discourse, I'm looking at the second and third discourse. Deuteronomy is, to me, is a fascinating book, and it's the Moses in three discourses exhorts the Israelites. In his first, as we discussed, he recounts the history of Israel's journey through the wilderness. In this second and third discourse, which we're talking about now, beginning at chapter 4, verses 44 through 30, he reviews the principal laws that the people are to observe in the promised land. And finally, Moses delivers words of charge to Joshua and to the priests, and he warns the people in a benediction to serve God faithfully. Now, the book of Deuteronomy combines the narrative and the priestly and prophetic strains of Scripture into one magnificent oration. Get a chance to sit down and read the book. You'll be really captivated by it. It combines the narrative, legislative, priestly, prophetic strains of Scripture into the magnificent oration. Its sentences flow with passion, denunciation, and exhortation. Its affirmations: God is one. Man must love God with all his heart and soul. Man must be righteous in dealings with his fellow man. These have all been incorporated into the daily liturgy of Jewish prayer. Deuteronomy's influence on the Jewish religion has never been exceeded by any other book in the Scripture. Now, many biblical scholars believe this, or part of it, to be the book of the law discovered during the reign of King Josiah in 621 BC. Others believe Deuteronomy to have been written by prophetic historians for such an occasion to spark a religious reform. In other words, Deuteronomy summarized the law as it had been preserved by the Hebrews. Jesus frequently quoted Deuteronomy, so that's something to keep in mind. And we talked about these discourses. Moses delivered the first discourse, and he recounts the experience of the Israelites in the terrible wilderness through which they have just journeyed. And as a consequence of their complaints and rebelliousness, the people were consigned to wander until a new generation would be permitted to enter the promised land. Even Moses became entangled in the backsliding of the people, and he was instructed to turn the leadership over to another when the ascent to Canaan was to be made. Despite this, God's watchfulness over Israel remained constant. Now that they have crossed the brook Zered, a new era begins. The dread of Israel falls upon the neighboring peoples. Sihon, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan, succumbed. Their cities are taken and divided among the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh. Much of this history has already been included in the selections from Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Here we repeat only those passages that reveal the unique character of the Deuteronomist. Now, Deuteronomy 1, verse 1 says, these are the words that Moses spoke to all Israel beyond the Jordan in the wilderness, in the Arabah, over against Sup, S-U-P-H, between Paran and Tophel, Laban, Hazroth, and Dizahab. He says, for the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He knows you're going through the great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord your God has been with you, and you have lacked nothing. Now, as we move along, we see that Deuteronomy gets at the heart of the matter. And Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 2 says, for the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He knows you're going through this great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing. And the Lord said unto Moses, do not harass Moab or contend with them in battle. I will not give you any of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar to the sons of Lot for a possession. He says, now rise up and go over to the brook Zered. So we went over the brook Zered, and the time from our leaving Kadesh Barnea till we crossed the brook Zered was about 38 years, until the entire generation, the men of war had perished from the camp, as the Lord had sworn to them. For indeed the hand of the Lord was against them, to destroy them from the camp until they had perished. So this book of Deuteronomy, at your leisure, I suggest that you read it, and you'll get better understanding of what's going on here. And it's quite a poetic book. It's fascinating. It'll hold your attention. Now, if that's the first discourse. Second, there are two other discourses that the Lord gave, and one is in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 4 through 30, and the topic here is the principal laws. God is one. Man must love God. God is one. Man must love God with all his might, heart, and soul, and might in dealings with his fellow man. And let us stop right here, and I will come back to you.
Thank you. I want to remind you all to please like, subscribe, comment, share, and please remember to pray. Thank you.